Andres from AA Sports with a special NASCAR recap video. For those who don't know, I was posting videos from the Sonoma race weekend that just happened this last weekend. I was at the races. Me and my father, we actually rented an RV and camped the entire race weekend at Sonoma Raceway. I got to give credit to my father who... this was mainly his idea, the idea of camping the entire weekend and enjoying that fan experience of camping the entire race weekend like you see others do with their RVs and campgrounds set up like in the infield like you see at Daytona and other places like that. We were able to do that this time for Sonoma. It was my dad's idea. I gotta give him credit for making that happen. And it was really nice, a special moment as we got to enjoy the race weekend together and just continue to make memories, me and my dad. You know, time is fragile, family time especially. It's very special, very fragile, and moments like this you always want to enjoy, and we definitely did that. With that, I have plenty of content, plenty of videos that I've posted from the race weekend. It was really, really cool. I got to meet some drivers and take photos with them as well. Stay tuned in my community posts channel. I will post those videos as well. But with that, here we go. Special recap video of the NASCAR weekend in beautiful wine country. NASCAR's only stop in California this season. Starting off with Friday, the first day of racing, no Cup Series, no Xfinity. They were on Saturday and Sunday, respectively. But the ARCA Menard Series race did take place. For those who don't know, the ARCA Series has kind of become like the semi-pro development league for the main three series. You know, the Truck Series, the Exfinity, and Cup Series. And it was a really cool race to watch. Still very entertaining. And it was William Sawalich in the number 18 Toyota who won the ARCA race at Sonoma. And if you only saw, you know, the highlights and the final laps on YouTube, I will say the final laps really didn't do justice for William Sawalich. Because honestly, if it weren't for the late race yellows, for that crash in turn 1, and for some of the spinouts that did occur and debris on the track, Sawalich would have won this race easily. He was by a mile the best driver and had the best car in the field. Yeah, but nevertheless, the race, despite William Sawalich dominating the race, we still had that special 3-wide finish between him, Christian Eckes, and Alon Day. That is definitely photo worthy, and I might add in the thumbnail for this video as well. In terms of some notable shocking moments from the race, starting with Dale Quarterly in the number 32 car, crashed out of the race early on. He ended up crashing in turn 4, and it was a very disappointing moment for him, very heartbreaking moment, really. Heartbreaking, I think, is the best way to describe it, as he was running in the top 5 when that incident happened on the exit of turn 4. Just lost control of the car, ended up crashing driver's side into the inside barrier of turn 4. Definitely a hard hit, especially because, again, Sonoma doesn't have safer barriers. It's either tire barriers or cement wall. Quarterly ended up hitting the cement wall. He was okay in terms of no injuries. You know, Quarterly was okay. He actually was able to drive the car back to the pits after that crash. Unfortunately, though, because it was the left side damage on the car was just too much to continue. The left front suspension ended up being very heavily damaged. Wasn't able to continue. And again, a heartbreaking ending for him in this race, as he was running in the top 5, looked to be having a good day at Sonoma, a good race when that happened. And unfortunately, that expected top 5 finish that we all thought he was going to have disappeared just like that. Yeah, disappointing. Then, of course, you had the very shocking moment, the big crash in turn one with 13 laps to go. The number 1 of Robbie Keneally and the number 68 of Rod Nealand both ended up crashing hard into the concrete barriers of turn 1. Just a brutal hit. Fortunately, both drivers were okay. But yeah, the cars were killed and both were unable to finish the race. DNF for both drivers. The number 68 of Nealand collided with the number 5 entering turn 1. I think Nealand just had no idea the number 5 car was inside of him trying to make a pass. Kind of cleared himself, got himself turned, ended up going into the turn 1 wall, rear end first. Robert Keneally in the number 1 car, he was coming up fast, just crossed the start finish line. The wreck happened in front of him. He had nowhere to go and ended up hitting the number 68 car. Again, both drivers, fortunately, walked out of their cars under their own power, checked and released from the infield care centers. They were okay. But yeah, those were really the moments that made this race stressful for William Sawalich, who outside of that was dominating the race, had clear track ahead of him, no one else behind him. But again, these late race yellows did result in that race being more stressful at the end for him with that epic 3-wide finish. Sawalich, though, rightfully so, congrats to him. Well-deserved win. He ended up getting the best of the 3 drivers in that 3-wide finish. Christian Eckes finished second. And Alon Day, the driver from Israel, who was competing in the ARCA race, he finished third. That is the top 3. All 3 drivers had very good races. As for the Exfinity race, definitely was not as eventful, not as action-packed as the ARCA race that occurred on Friday. It was a much cleaner race, no yellows. Outside of the stage breaks, there was not a single caution that occurred. You did have a couple cars that go wide or went off the track, but they were able to get back going. And again, when a car spins out or goes off track at a road course, if they're able to get back going and continue on, they will not throw the yellow. They'll just have like a quick sector yellow, kind of like Formula 1. But if they get back going, it's still clean racing, clean green flag racing. Unless a major crash or debris happens where, debris ends up going onto the track, they will not throw the yellow. In that case, with that, a clean race. And it was really between SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen, who was doing double duty, trying to gain some experience in this Xfinity race at this track for the main race on Sunday. Connor Zilic, who is a top prospect who will likely be going to Trackhouse Racing next year in the Cup Series. And, of course, William Sawalich, who won the ARCA race. It was between them, and it was really SVG and Connor Zilic who slugged it out, battled it out at the end in the final laps. And it was Connor Zilic who actually got the best of the road course expert, the former Supercars driver in Shane Van Gisbergen. Zilic finished first in the number 88 car. SVG finished second. William Sawalich, who won the ARCA race, finished third. That rounds out the top 3, those traditional podium positions. Nick Sanchez had a really good performance, a good points day for him. He finished 4th. And Riley Herbst, who competes full-time in the Cup Series now as well with 2311 Racing. He was also doing double duty like SVG, trying to gain a little more experience for at this track for the main race on Sunday. He ended up finishing in the top 5. That's the top 5 finish for them. Very good race. Very clean race. No yellows outside of the stage breaks. And congrats to Connor Zilic, a top young prospect, getting another win. Wins the race at Sonoma, beating one of the best road course racers in SVG. And yeah, rightfully so with his form in the Xfinity Series. You got to imagine that he will be the front runner to take the open seat next year at Trackhouse Racing in the Cup Series. As for the main event, the Cup race on Sunday, outside of the late race cautions that, saw a missing wheel, Justin Haley ended up hitting a rabbit that ran onto the track in turn 9. Outside of those late race yellows and some of those weird moments that saw a crash, a dead jackrabbit, and Cody Ware lose a wheel, it really was the Shane Van Gisbergen show. And I'll tell you what, it is truly incredible to, see how good of a road course racer he is in person. As we all know, the driver from New Zealand had a very successful career in Australia as a supercars driver. So road course races is in his wheelhouse. He started on the pole and led damn near every lap of the race, with the exception of those times where he went to pit and get fuel and for fresh tires. And my dad had a quote my dad said something after the race that I think best describes how this race unfolded and SVG's performance. He said it just wasn't a fair fight. It didn't look fair at all. It looked like he had some sort of just unfair advantage, even though he didn't. The car passed inspections and everything. Shane Van Gisbergen is just by a mile the best road course racer of the NASCAR Cup Series drivers. And again, it's incredible to see how just how good of a road course racer he is. And I think this race at Sonoma really did send that message that he is, in my opinion, already on the Mount Rushmore in terms of road course races and road course drivers in NASCAR. Because, tracks like the Chicago Street Course, which is a newer course, La Ciudad de Mexico, where NASCAR just ran for the first time in history. Tracks like that, a lot of the Cup Series regulars, they don't have anywhere near as much experience. They fell out of their element more at those tracks due to a lack of having a lack of laps on those courses. So obviously, at tracks like that, you expect SVG, being a former supercars driver, to feel more at home, feel more in his wheelhouse, and really for the advantage to be on his side at those races. And sure enough, SVG won Chicago, dominated Mexico City. But here, to dominate in the way that he did, and just to, on every restart, just get ahead of the field and just run away with the lead, I think it really does send a message, because this is one of the tracks where, this is the road course where the NASCAR regulars do have more experience. They do have more laps ran on this track in comparison to SVG. Kyle Larson dominated the race last year. Kyle Busch has over 2,000 laps at this track, and he's won 2 races here. And to see SVG just absolutely dominate the race in the way he did, just wow. Congrats to SVG. What a dominant performance. And dude, holy crap. SVG on road courses, just wow. The other 30 cars in the field are going to be so screwed come the race at Watkins Glen and the Roval race in the playoffs, because SVG has just put on masterclass after masterclass at road courses. And you got to imagine he's going to be the front runner to win at Watkins Glen and at the Roval. And with that already, he has 3 Cup Series wins this year. Just, it is incredible to see how he performs at these road course races. And, congrats to him, congrats to the team, and congrats to the primary sponsor on his car, Red Bull. Obviously, Red Bull, I think, as we all know, Red Bull had a team in the 2000s and 2010s, but things ended up falling through there. The team ended up shutting its doors. But with SVG, Red Bull returns not as a racing team, but as a primary sponsor with a great paint scheme, by the way. In my opinion, probably the best paint scheme of the 37 cars in the field. And it's their first win. Red Bull, either as a racing team or as a primary sponsor on a car, they get their first win in the NASCAR Cup Series with SVG here at Sonoma this weekend. Wow. So I guess you can say Red Bull, not only does it give you wings, it gives you fire paint schemes. And yeah, Red Bull definitely gave SVG wings. They gave SVG wings at Sonoma. Just absolutely dominated the race. In terms of some other notes here that I have, starting with just the top 5 and who finished there. SVG dominated the race in the number 88. Chase Briscoe in the number 19 Toyota had a very good race. He was in the top 5 for just about the entire race. He had a really good performance. So congrats to Chase Briscoe on a good points day, finishing second. Chase Elliott in the number 9 finished third. Michael McDowell, who is another one of the Cup Series regulars who's considered a road course expert. He was a favorite to win in the number 71 Toyota. He finished fourth. A good top 5 finish for him. But again, just SVG was miles ahead of these guys. Nowhere near. He just couldn't. Michael McDowell was able to finish in the top 5 as expected. He was a front runner to do that. Good finish, but again, no match for SVG. And then Christopher Bell rounded out the top 5 in the number 20 car. A good points day for him as well. Moving down the list near the end of the top 10, finishing 9th, my favorite driver, the 3-time champ, Joey Logano, in the number 22 car. He was the top finisher for all of the Ford teams, the top finisher for Ford as a manufacturer in the race. In terms of drivers who had, unfortunately, bad days at Sonoma in the Cup Series, starting with Ryan Blaney in the number 12 Penske Ford. On lap 42, he ended up going off the track in turn 1, and he got stuck on the hill. This brought out the full course yellow. He was fortunately able to continue the race. He got help from the tow trucks and was able to get unstuck from the grass and that hill where he was wedged up on. Unfortunately, though, he still ended up not seeing the checkered flag. He ended up with a DNF, as in the final laps, he was involved in some trouble, in more trouble on top of the hills in turns 2 and 3 and 3A. Got involved in a wreck, broke the toe links through turn 9 at where we were sitting. You saw him crab walking, just limped it back to pit road, and that was the last we saw of him. He did not see the checkered flag. Unfortunate for Ryan Blaney. He was one of only 2 cars that did not finish this race. Same thing could be said for Kyle Larson. He did finish the race, but really just limped the car back to the checkered flag. He was also involved in that crash, in that trouble in the final, on the final restart, in the final laps, up on the hills in turns 2 and in turns 3, 3A. Sustained a lot of rear end damage. The car had a lot of heavy damage. Did enough to finish the race out, but again, that wreck took him out of contention, and he finished P35. Not ideal. Definitely disappointing seeing the defending winner of this race, who dominated last year. It's his home race as well. Go from first last year to P35. Noah Gragson in the number 4 car for Front Row Motorsports. Was involved in that turn 7 crash. Him and Ryan Preece. Noah Gragson got turned around in turn 7. Ryan Preece ended up hitting him. Gragson sustained heavy front end damage to his car. Was unable to continue. The car ended up finishing on a tow truck. Unfortunately for Noah Gragson, he ended up finishing dead last in the race, P37. and was the first DNF and one of only 2 drivers who did not finish this race. In terms of other drivers who had their struggles in this race, AJ Allmendinger had a spin out in turn 2. Cody Ware brought out one of the first late race cautions with a... he ended up losing a wheel up on the hills in turns 3A, turns 3 and 3A. He was able to finish the race, but having to limp the car back to the pits after losing that wheel resulted in some rear end damage, of course. And so he was nowhere near contention. A tough break for Cody Ware, losing a wheel like that. And it wasn't like he came out of the pits or anything. It was just a weird freak incident where the wheel, something in the car broke, something in the rear end broke, and the right rear wheel just fell off. Made things interesting, and drivers got more aggressive. That's what ended up resulting in Noah Gregson's crash on the restart as well. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. also in the final laps. I got that video up on the channel for you guys to see. He crashed in turn 8. He was able to finish the race, but again, crashing into the turn 8 tire barriers did result in that car being damaged, and he finished nowhere near contention, nowhere near the top 10 as well. John Hunter Nemechek also had a moment in turn 8 as well. He really struggled and did not finish in the top 10, nowhere near contention, but he did do good enough to race his way into the final 4 of the in-season challenge, so he will be competing in the final 4 at Dover for that tournament. In terms of another heartbreaking moment, Justin Haley under yellow, a weird moment. I didn't catch it on video, but I did catch the aftermath. Under yellow, behind the pace car, a jackrabbit ended up running onto the track in turns 8 and 9. Justin Haley couldn't avoid it in time, ended up hitting the jackrabbit, and unfortunately, the jackrabbit population decreased by 1. What's even crazier about that is NASCAR didn't decide to clean it up. They just left the dead jackrabbit there for the remaining laps of the race in the grass just off the track. Yeah, R.I.P. Bugs Bunny. As for an international drivers update, so 37 drivers competed in this race from 4 different countries. Obviously, the majority were from the U.S. The majority of the drivers were American. But there were 3 drivers who competed, who were from outside the country, who competed in this race. Obviously, the most notable, Daniel Suarez, who won in 2022. SVG, and Catherine Legg, who is competing part-time, the British driver. She was competing in the number 78. So as for the 3 international drivers in the race, I'll count 4, 1 from each country. I think it's deserving to do that. SVG, of course, the driver from New Zealand, won the race. 3rd win of the year. Congrats to him. Again, Red Bull gives you wings, and it also gives you a fire paint scheme. Best paint scheme, best car, best driver, and best finishing first. Congrats to Shane Van Gisbergen and the driver from New Zealand. Daniel Suarez in the number 99 had a moment early on where he got spun out in turn 11 by his teammate in Ross Chastain. No remorse, no regrets for that either. You can tell that Daniel Suarez, his time is expiring with Trackhouse, as he will as him and Trackhouse have parted ways they will part ways at the end of the season. So Suarez looking for some good finishes, hopefully a win that can send a message and keep him in a seat in the Cup Series next year. Yeah, he had that moment where he got spun out in turn 11 by his teammate. Not ideal, but was able to race his way back into the top 15 for a good result. So good for Daniel Suarez. And Catherine Legg in the number 78, obviously not as much experience in the Cup Series cars, is only running part-time. with the number 78 team, which is one of the smaller teams in the Cup Series, less funded. But nevertheless, Catherine Legge, while she was running in the back of the pack for the most part, she still ran all the laps, kept the car in one piece, had no trouble on the track, and she didn't finish dead last of the cars, of the running cars. She finished P31. So I think overall, while nowhere near the top 15 or the top 10, you got to give credit to Catherine Legge. She still had a clean race for all things considered, as she continues to gain experience in the Cup Series. So those are the 3 international drivers and the updates there. However, 37 drivers from 4 countries. So I think it's only fair that I do point out one notable driver from the U.S. And in my opinion, for this segment, I think the best driver to point out is Ty Dillon in the number 10 for Colleague Racing. He finished P17. Good enough to advance to the next round once again of the in-season challenge, and is in the Final Four, where he will race John Hunter Nemechek at Dover. That is his matchup in the Final Four. You know, gotta give a shout out to Ty Dillon. Has had a struggling season, not a lot of top 10s, top 15s, very few bright moments, but has really done well and has raced his way into the Final Four of this in-season challenge. So you gotta love that upset story. And who knows, Ty Dillon might go from being the guy who was being written off, who no one thought would last long in this in-season challenge, to he might be the underdog story that ends up winning the in-season challenge and that $1 million prize. So congrats to Ty Dillon there. But that'll be all for this NASCAR Sonoma 2025 weekend recap. That'll be all for that in terms of my notes. Guys, thank you so much for continuing to leave likes, watching the videos, and staying tuned and following this sports passion project. With that, I ask you to, again, for those who aren't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, go check out the highlights that I have posted from the NASCAR race weekend, and I will continue to post some of my last remaining content, photos, and videos, as well as the hauler parade as they were leaving, as they traveled to from Sonoma to Dover as well. I'll post that video as well. Leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.